Week 21 of the fantasy baseball season. And here's a few hitters I look to add here, with obviously the playoffs coming up next week in head-to-head leagues. These are crucial adds, and these are definitely plays that can help fantasy owners. Towards the end of the season, the first hitter, Josh Rojas of the Seattle Mariners. So Josh Rojas, he was traded obviously at the deadline in the Paul Sewald deal. And right now he's getting an everyday opportunity late with this Mariner team. And he's making the most of it. So on the season here for Rojas, 3 home runs, 36 RBIs, 39 runs scored, 10 stolen bases, a 245 average, and a 302 on base. For a couple weeks here, he's been on a tear, 3 homers, 9 RBIs, 14 runs scored, 4 stolen bases, a 381 average, and a 422 on base. So right now he's going out there, he's stealing bases as Rojas, he's hitting the ball well, and there's no pressure on him as well, batting 8th and 9th usually in the lineup for the Mariners. So the last few games, August 22nd at the White Sox, 1 for 4, a homer, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored. August 23rd at the White Sox, 3 for 4, a run, a rib, a stolen base. August 25th versus the Royals, 1 for 4, an RBI. August 26th versus the Royals, 2 for 5, a homer, 2 runs scored. And August 27th versus the Royals, 0 for 2 with a run and a bag. So if you're looking for stolen bases and a player who has good versatility, and he's hot for now here in Rojas, he's available right now in 71% of fantasy leagues. He qualifies at 2nd and 3rd. And like I said, stolen bases, average, and versatility he'll bring owners. I'd give him an ad this week. Next hitter is Adam Duvall of the Boston Red Sox. Adam Duvall, he's been one of the hot pickups this week off the waiver wire here. And right now added in 28% of fantasy leagues over the last week, and only available right now in 52% of leagues on the season. 16 home runs, 47 RBIs, 37 runs scored, 4 stolen bases, a 267 average, and a 329 on base. So we know the deal with Duvall. It's always been a power hitter with him throughout his career, even though this season his batting average is way up there than where it's been over the last few seasons. In the last couple weeks, he's been one of the hottest hitters in Major League Baseball. 6 homers, 16 RBIs, 9 runs scored, a 347 average, and a 373 on base. So right now, he's loving playing in Fenway Park, is Adam Duvall. And coming into the season, he was a sleeper for a lot of people in terms of fantasy baseball. Then he got off to that roaring start. Then he got injured for 2 months. But now he's been back and he's been playing pretty solid baseball here. Is Duvall. August 23rd at Houston, 2 for 4, a homer, 3 RBIs. August 24th at Houston, 2 for 3, an RBI. August 25th versus the Dodgers, 1 for 5. August 26th versus the Dodgers, 2 for 4, a homer, 3 ribs. And August 27th versus the Dodgers, 2 for 4, a homer, and 2 runs scored. So right now the power stroke is there for Adam Duvall. That nice, obviously, green monster, 310 down the line. You just got to get hang time on it. And he's definitely doing that right now, is Duvall. So right now, he's definitely a hitter I would look to add, and he could pay big dividends for fantasy owners, especially in points leagues. With the power he's definitely showing right now. The next hit is Austin Hayes of the Baltimore Orioles. So Austin Hayes, he's been on rosters for the most part this season, but right now he's still available in 51% of leagues. So on the season for Hayes, 13 homers, 53 RBIs, 61 runs scored, 4 stolen bases, 282 average, and a 331 on base. He's got a good eye at the plate. He's drawing his walks. He shows some pop as Austin Hayes. And he's a nice guy in the middle of the lineup here for this Baltimore Orioles team, where obviously he's not one of their main players, but a solid starter, professional player here is Hayes. So the last few weeks here for him, 3 homers, 9 RBIs, 8 runs scored, 2 stolen bases, 293 average, and a 408 on base. So like I mentioned in other videos, this Baltimore team has a good nucleus of young up-and-coming players, obviously, and then good veterans here like in Austin Hayes. So the last few games for Hayes, August 23rd versus Toronto, 1 for 3. August 24th versus the Blue Jays, 1 for 3, a run. August 25th versus the Rockies, 2 for 3, a homer, and that one, 2 runs scored. August 26th versus the Rockies, 0 for 3, a run, a rib, a stolen base. And August 27th versus the Rockies, 0 for 4. So right now, playing good baseball is Hayes. He's going to show some power. He's definitely going to help in the on-base percentage, obviously. We're on the season. He's in the 330s. And batting average as well. So if you need a few categories and a well-rounded player, I think Austin Hayes could be that for owners. And he's out there in 51% of leagues. Next hit is Nolan Jones of the Colorado Rockies. And Nolan Jones, a former top prospect in the Guardian system. But it just didn't work out over there for him. But right now this season, making the most of it with a struggling Colorado team and one of the worst teams in the league that's dealt with injuries and just horrible starting pitching the whole year. So Jones on the year, 13 home runs, 39 RBIs, 36 runs scored, 8 stolen bases, a 282 average, and a 361 on base. But the last 2 weeks he's been on a tear, 2 home runs, 10 RBIs, 9 runs scored, a stolen base, a 326 average, and a 392 on base. So right now, Jones won 60% of fantasy leagues here. And if you're looking for some pop and batting average and RBIs, Jones definitely could bring that to fantasy owners. And right now, he's usually batting 5th for this Rocky team. And this Rocky team, we know, like I said, a lot of injuries this season. They've been out of the race for a while. And a young player like Jones, he's getting the everyday chance and making the most of it. And he's got fantasy value, obviously, and he qualifies at first and outfield. August 24th at the Rays, 3 for 4 homer, 3 ribs. August 25th at the O's, 1 for 4 run. August 26th at the O's, 1 for 3. And August 27th at the O's, 0 for 3. So right now, he's been good over the last few weeks, like I mentioned here. Average over 300, showing good power. And he's been consistent right now for this Rocky team. So I definitely would give Jones an ad this week. The next hit is Mitch Garver of the Texas Rangers. So Mitch Garver has been filling in good for Jonah Heim here over the last few weeks. Yeah, Mitch Garver, we always knew he was a good prospect coming up in Minnesota, but injuries always held him back on the season. 12 home runs, 35 RBIs, 28 runs scored, a 278 average, and an awesome 361 on base. And over the last month, he's been playing great baseball. 7 home runs, 15 RBIs, 13 runs scored, a 310 average, and a 389 on base. So right now he's going out there playing well as Garver. You know, catches one of the worst positions in fantasy baseball. And he's another guy. It's just about the power and on-base percentage for the most part. Everything else he's not really doing, but a catcher, what else could you ask for here? Available in 77% of leagues. So the last few games, August 22nd at the Diamondbacks, 2 for 5, a homer in that one. August 24th at the Twins, 0 for 3. August 25th at the Twins, 1 for 3, a homer. August 26th at the Twins, 2 for 4, a homer. And August 27th at the Twins, 1 for 5 with a run. So he's playing every day. Like I said, Jonah Heim, he's out for a little while longer. And now he's got a great matchup here coming up at the New York Mets that are one of the worst pitching staffs in the league. And obviously this New York Mets team traded Scherzer and Verlander at the deadline. So right now a good matchup's coming up. And Mitch Garver playing great baseball over the last month of the season. He's definitely a hitter. I look to get off the wire this week. And like I said, catches a very weak position. So you should take advantage of it and add him this week. This is Andrew Benintendi of the Chicago White Sox. So Benintendi signed that big contract in the offseason, but right now it just hasn't worked out for him for the most part this season, especially power-wise. But batting average and on base, he's always been solid at that, and stolen bases as well is Benintendi. So on the season, 5 home runs, 38 RBIs, 66 runs scored, 13 stolen bases, a 276 average, and a 341 on base. But over the last couple weeks, he's found the power stroke out of nowhere with 3 home runs, 7 RBIs the last 2 weeks. A stolen base, 9 runs scored, a 333 average, and a 400 on base. So right now, like I said, 5 home runs in the first 4 months of the season Benintendi had. And now all of a sudden 3 homers in the last 2 weeks. So if he could get going and start finding the powers, Benintendi, that'd be surprising. Because even last season he hit only 5 home runs. So right now, if you need batting average, stolen bases, runs scored, and on base, he's definitely bringing that for fantasy owners. And those are 4 pretty good categories, in my opinion. August 22nd versus the Mariners, 1 for 4, a homer. August 23rd versus Seattle, 1 for 1 with a rib. August 24th versus the A's, 2 for 5, a homer, 2 ribs, 2 runs scored. August 25th versus Oakland, 0 for 3 with a run. August 26th versus Oakland, 1 for 3, a homer. And August 27th versus Oakland, 2 for 5 with 2 runs. So right now, playing good baseball, here's Benintendi. He's been showing power, like I mentioned, over the last few weeks. Is a little bit surprising, where he's done nothing pretty much over the last 2 seasons in hitting home runs. And he's available right now at 63% of fantasy leagues. Next hit is Eddie Rosario of the Atlanta Braves. You want to talk about a streak power hitter. Eddie Rosario definitely is that. And the only thing with him is he don't play versus lefties, but right now available in 45% of fantasy leagues, and he's getting a lot of pitches to hit, obviously. This Atlanta Brave team's loaded with talent and great hitters. Austin Riley, Matt Olson, Ronald Acuna, Ozzie Albies. Obviously, when he comes back, he's injured now. Sean Murphy having a year. Marcell Ozuna, Michael Harris. So a lot of great hitters in this lineup. Eddie Rosario usually batting 6th or 7th, where he's going to get a lot of good pitches to hit. And he's shown it this season. 20 home runs, 64 RBIs. 54 runs scored, 3 stolen bases, a 262 average, and a 314 on base. But the last month of the season, great numbers: 5 home runs, 20 RBIs, 16 runs scored, 2 stolen bases, a 313 average, and a 375 on base. So right now, Eddie Rosario showing power. for this Atlanta Brave team. Like I said, batting sixth usually in this lineup. The only down thing with him is obviously he strikes out a lot and he don't play versus lefties. But if you could deal with it, he's going to bring power and he's going to drive in runs. August 22nd versus the Mets, 2 for 3, a homer, 2 ribs. August 25th at the Giants, 0 for 4. August 26th at the Giants, 1 for 2, a run, a rib, a stolen base. August 27th at the Giants, 1 for 2, with a run in that one. So right now he's playing great baseball. He's Eddie Rosario. He's got power. He's in a great lineup. He mashes right-handed pitching. And he's a guy out there in tons of fantasy leagues still. So there's no reason why you shouldn't add him in 45% of fantasy leagues. If you need power and a utility hitter or an outfield, the next hit is Charlie Blackmon of the Colorado Rockies. So Blackmon, he came off the injured list a few weeks ago. And he's playing good baseball in the season. 7 home runs, 32 RBIs, 46 runs scored, a 288 average, and a 376 on base. So Blackmon, we always knew he was a great on-base guy and always had good power. And since the return for him, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 12 runs scored, a 410 average, and a 521 on base. So he's been on a tear the last 2 weeks since he returned from the injured list here. So Charlie Blackmon, always been a solid ball player for this Rocky team, always been the table setter, and he's just getting multiple hit games left and right here since the return. August 23rd at Tampa, 0 for 4 run. August 24th at Tampa, 2 for 4 run. August 25th at the O's, 2 for 3, 2 runs. August 26th at the O's, 2 for 4 rib. And August 27th at the O's, 1 for 4. So right now playing great baseball, he is Charlie Blackmon. Available in 62% of fantasy leagues. And if you pretty much need some power, batting average, on base percentage, and run scores, he's going to bring that to fantasy owners. And right now, it's surprising to me, he's still out there in a lot of these leagues. After I mentioned him last week and over the last 2 weeks, he's been on base over 50% of the time. The next hit is Wilmer Flores of the San Francisco Giants. And Wilmer Flores, he's been a solid pro throughout his career. I know the numbers always aren't eye-popping, but he's a versatile player, first, second, and third, which is always great for fantasy baseball and real-life baseball as a utility man. He's been a mainstay with this Giant team over the last couple seasons, and he just shows power as Flores, and when it's all said and done, gets the job done. But the main thing this season is that batting average, jumping up 70 points, which is huge. So on the season, 19 homers, 48 RBIs, 45 runs scored, a 299 average, and a 359 on base. So a huge jump from Flores, where throughout his career he was a 230, 240 hitter. But this season here, to be hitting pretty much 300 is a great feat here for Flores. So the last month, 6 homers, 16 RBIs, 12 runs scored, a 318 average, and a 375 on base. So he's pretty much been solid the whole year as a high average hitter. Maybe the shift has changed things, or just the adjustments at the plate as well over there with the San Francisco type of system, where they're not looking to hit for crazy power, but putting a bat on ball and contact. So the last few games here for Flores: August 22nd at Philly, 0 for 3, a run, a rib. August 23rd at Philly, 2 for 4, a homer, 2 ribs. August 25th versus Atlanta, 0 for 4. August 26th versus Atlanta, 1 for 4, a homer, 2 ribs. And August 27th versus Atlanta, 0 for 3 with a run. So right now playing good baseball, here's Wilmer Flores. This Giant team obviously right there in the wild card hunt, looking to lock up a spot. And Flores, like I said, great versatility and a player that definitely can help fantasy owners. Available right now, not in many leagues, but 44%. And the final hit I looked at this week off the Warriors, Tommy Pham of the Arizona Diamondbacks. So Pham had a good first half of the season with the New York Mets, and obviously they weren't going to go nowhere, so they traded off all their main pieces. And Tommy Pham on the season, 13 homers, 53 RBIs, 40 runs scored, 17 stolen bases, a 260 average, and a 330 on base. So Tommy Pham's always been a solid pro, in my opinion. The batting average, yes, is a little higher this season than it has been in years past, but maybe he could lock up a multi-year deal now in the offseason. The last couple weeks here for Pham, 2 homers, 11 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 8 runs scored, a 250 average, and a 273 on base. At Tommy Pham, we know he's shown pop in his career. Usually a 17, 18 home run guy to 25 homers is his max on a season. And now he hits in a good hitter's ballpark, obviously, in Arizona. Even though it's Citi Field as well, it was a pretty solid hitter's park. So the last few games here for Pham: August 22nd versus Texas, 1 for 4, rib, a stolen base. August 24th versus the Reds, 1 for 4. August 25th versus the Reds, 1 for 4, 2 ribs. August 26th versus the Reds, 0 for 5. And August 27th versus the Reds, 2 for 3, a run, a stolen base. So right now, playing good baseball is Pham. He's stealing bases. He could be a 2020 guy outside shot this season. I know he still has to hit 7 home runs to get there and get 3 more stolen bases, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. He's been a mainstay now for Arizona since the trade and what Jake McCarthy sent to the minors. And right now, if you need a professional hitter and a guy can help fantasy owners, he's out there in 66% of leagues. So that's a few hitters I look to add here in already week 21 of the fantasy baseball season.